Welcome everyone to the scratching seminar of SKRATCHCON 2000. Let me introduce you to the three DJs up on stage. Even though they're in my crew, I have to acknowledge the fact that these three are the baddest, that I know of in the scratch arena. I mean, they can possibly, everything in their head is amazing. These guys have every scratch vocabulary locked down to a science and trained enough to figure anything out. I don't know, they're just the most amazing three scratch DJs. Of course, here to the left, the one and only DJ Q-BERT. Taking center stage, the one and only D Styles. This man right here is making his debut to the world today. He's really nervous, he says. The first time you ever seen him, in a public arena like this performing, innovating for so many years, he's finally, come here to share it with us at SKRATCHCON. The one and only inventor of the Flair Scratch, DJ Flair. All right, we're gonna start this off with a little, me and Q go on tour, we usually go through the basics of scratching, but to make it a little bit more interesting, Q's gonna actually run through the history, a little timeline, just like the Beat Jugglers did it, but this time with scratching, and DJ Flair will execute all the scratches from day one all the way till today, the history of scratching.
So, this is kind of like one of those reports I had to do on scratching. Kind of like in school, when I was in school, I got like D's and F's and stuff. And I would always wait, like you have to do a term paper, and I would always wait for the last day and be like, hey man, let me get your notes, man. I'll give you $5 or something. I'll get the notes and do the whole, or just go in the encyclopedia and copy the whole thing. Yeah. So this is kind of like my first real report. So anyway, scratching, is the way we learned it is what I'm gonna talk about. So it might be different for you guys, but the way we heard it, this is how it sounded. So anyway, in hip hop, we first heard scratching, I guess it started in the mid-'70s with Grand Wizard Theodore. And this is the first scratch, how it started back then. It would be, they would play breaks. Breaks are, the part of the record that's just the drums. And right before that, there would be like a little drum roll, or maybe no drum roll at all, and they would scratch the beginning in and let the break go. I want to show them a break. Okay, of course you guys know what the break is, so Don't want you to do that style of scratching back then. All right, then of course it got more advanced. In '82, you heard you seen Wild Style, and you seen DST, Scratch Good Times, and then you finally in '83 it made its debut on TV with Herbie Hancock, of course, and this is how scratching sounded in '83. So I guess DJs at that time were like Jam Master Jay from Run DMC and DST, and I guess world famous Supreme Team from Malcolm McLaren. So then '84 comes, and this is what I call this is when you started, right? '84, right? When you started scratching. Around '84 was, I used to call that the Ice Age, because Mixmaster Ice kind of ruled that era. It was with he was with UTFO. There was like Silver Spinner and Howie T, and this is how that style sounded in '84. All right, that's '84 style. Then '85 came, and this is pretty much when we started. When did you start DJing, Dave? '85. Mixmaster Mike started in '85, and around that time, we heard like the scratch got faster, and people were like Barry B, Chill Will, and again, still Mixmaster Ice was around. This is that style. And there was also Tears. We first heard Tears for our first time. All right, then '86 comes along, and this is the time when Philadelphia DJs were predominant. This was like Cash Money, of course, Jazzy Jeff, Tap Money, Code Money. And of course, Transforming came in, and faster chirps. Chirps were in, but it's like more of a triplet chirp. What do you have right now set up? A whistle? Or what do you got? Okay, he's gonna do the thing. The reason why we call chirps is because on the song Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, it's called The Magnificent Jazzy Jeff, and the Fresh Prince said, "Now make it sound like a bird." And he said, "Now make it chirp." And this is what a chirp was. And of course, Transforming came in '86. All right, let's move on to '87. '87 is the first time we've seen a New Music Seminar videotape. You know, someone bootlegged it and got to my house, and I would sell it to these guys, and that's how I met these guys. So, you got what do you have set up over there? What do you have set up over there? You want to do let's see, do the Easy G one. Yeah. This is like when Transforming started using more than one sound. And this is kind of like an old school pattern mixed with a new school pattern at the time in '87 with Transforming. DJs around that time, like Mr. Mix. Mr. Mix actually, probably, I don't know if he bid in or something. I don't want to say that, but he did that on the Two Live Crew album. Then, of course, '87 was Joe Cooley era. Over here in the West Coast, we cut fast and stuff. You know, we were known for that, I guess. Oh yeah, the West Coast only scratches fast, and the East Coast were more funky. That was that whole West Coast, East Coast thing back in the days. But anyway, so this is the Joe Cooley scratch, which was chirped tears along with like really fast tears. You want to play a beat? So he's gonna play a beat right now. Yeah, okay. He's gonna play a beat right now, and he's gonna do the Joe Cooley scratch. So for us in '87, there was other DJs like Bobcat, who else? Mr. Mix, did I say that already? DJ Man from Miami, DJ Toomp, the next DJ for MC Shady. Huh? What? Who? Oh, that's DJ Man. Yeah. MCUB, by the way. So, okay, '88, transforming got faster. Oh, really? King Tech. When did you catch? Which one, guys? Okay, oh yeah, okay. I skipped one, which was pretty important back in the days in '87. When we first heard, I guess Jeff called it the beatbox scratch. I don't know what Cash called it. Is Cash around? Cash Money around? Okay, well, we'll get the right definition for this if you can come here. But anyway, this is the first time we heard transforming with drums behind it. And I heard the New Music Seminar when Cash did this routine. Get busy, get busy, get busy, y'all. Get busy, y'all. No Cash Money. Okay. So I guess then '88 came, and we heard transforming get faster, and what we heard too was tears being transformed. And how many of you have heard of the Wake Up Show? Everyone's pretty much heard of that. King Tech had a song called "We Want to Rock You," and he just went off at the end, transforming his tears, and it. Yeah, you want to do that? So, So a lot of styles in '88, a lot of transforming different techniques. Even like Aladdin did like a push in his transform and sound like this, a cappella style. Also, I want to acknowledge Cash Money did that too. That style with the push. Cash, he's right here. You know, Cash Money. Oh, yeah. Jeff called the thing with the beatbox scratch with the drumming. What do you call that? And do you think you did that before he did? What do you think?
Well, Jeff was the first person to ever put, everything on wax.
Right.
There was, I have to credit, there was another DJ in Philly called Lightning Rich that was doing, he did a routine off of the Fat Boys, come on beatbox, play one for me, and he would take the bass sound, boom, 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 and his MC would say, "Hey, Rich, who's the baddest DJ?" And he would go, "Chicka chicka me." You know what I'm saying? So I have to credit Lightning Rich for that. Jeff was the first person to ever, put things, DJ and transforming and all that on wax first. So.
When did Scratch? How many of you guys heard Scratch Into the Funk? Well, that's like a really historic record where I thought that was maybe the first transforming record. Was that the first one, or did that come out later? What do you think?
I don't even know, man. I got paid like $150 to do that record, man. To me, that was big money back then. I didn't even know it was going to blow up to be so big. I mean, I was talking to Rob Swift about this earlier. I never cut Pump Me Up ever in my life, and the owner of the label asked me to do a special mix with it, and it just came out how it came out. So
it's a real rare record. If you guys ever find it, it's like $1 billion. It's I don't even have one. I don't have one. You got two. Cut Master Swift has two.
Yeah, matter of fact, Public Enemy sampled it for Fight the Power, like the beginning when it goes pump, you pump, you pump. So every time I hear the Def Comedy Jam, I hear my scratch. So that's all good.
Cool. Right. Thanks, Cash.
All right.
Let's move on. So I guess I want to move on to around 89. How many of you guys have heard a really, really underground group called Hijack? Okay, well, DJ Supreme and Undercover were like a really underground group for us back then when we were DJing around 88, 89. And when we heard their scratches, they were way ahead of their time. This is DJ Supreme from Hijack, not the one from the US, but from the UK. Can you come up here? You guys just don't know, but this guy invented a lot of underground styles that people don't know about, like this one reverse scratch. Like all the way back then in, what year was that?
That was like, I think that was 88, 89.
Uh-huh. And what was your mentality? Remember you were talking about you want to just destroy the US or something? What was that all about?
Well, in the UK, the rap scene is like, it stays within the borders. It doesn't really get out anywhere. And a lot of the rap acts that were coming out at the time weren't really, making any impact in the US. I mean, you did have a few groups like Derek B, maybe Cookie Crew. And in my opinion, and a lot of people who were real hardcore and on the street, they were thinking that, okay, they were okay, but they weren't representing what real people felt on the street in terms of hardcore. And I was one of those people, and I was just like, okay, they're good, but I'm going to be better. So we got a crew together, and the whole idea behind this crew is to be elitist and to basically take on anybody who was in the UK, but more specifically to take on the US and to take on all the DJs that were out there that were coming out, and just to show and prove, really.
Right.
You know, it's not to take anything away from the US DJs, because they were major influence in our style. We took a lot of their you know, different techniques. Wizkid was an influence for me, DST as well. Cash Money definitely was an influence. Scratches to the Funk, I got that record as well. Man, all that stuff is incredible, and that helped us to develop styles, you know, that we're pretty pleased with that. And people, you know, people like Q-BERT have heard that record. To me, is amazing. And you know, to come out here and hear him call me up on stage, it's like an honor, really. So it's nice to be here, man.
Oh man.
If you guys ever find that record, it's called Hijack, and that's the name of the group.
Yeah.
And it was him, Supreme, and
DJ
Undercover, and they just destroyed everyone. And they even had this scratch back then as well. All the way back in 88, was it?
Yeah, 88,
This was around the Public Enemy time when like Johnny Juice Rosado who did the first 2 scratches on the first 2 Public Enemy albums, and everything was hard, you know, everything was like
Real angry, and it was just power scratching, you know, it's that whole, you know, kick your ass with scratching. You know? So, thanks a lot.
No problem, man.
All right, moving on. 89. Wait, did I say that? Okay. Okay, 1990. This is the year I call the death of scratching, because the DAT came in, and the DJs were no longer needed. So the DJs moved on to a producing kind of like area, you know, making beats and stuff, and there was no need for the DJ because, you know, we were talking about this yesterday. The DJs, you know, sometimes the needles would skip, the MCs would get mad. The MCs can make more money without the DJ. Like, I just play this DAT, you know, I don't need that, you know, DJ. And so that was the death of scratching in the 90s, but we kept going on underground. Anyway, no one cares. 1991, I guess this was a time of experimental scratching. In 91, we kind of like, we're scratching with long tones and you know, spinning the record. Why don't you do some exotic long tone scratching? This is really easy, but go ahead, do that. Oh, you want it? I heard Eddie Def. Is Eddie Def here? Space Travelers in the house? That's definitely them. All right, so 92, team scratching is introduced in the competitions. Turntable bands begin forming, and flaring is introduced. I was selling the dubbed videotapes of the competitions, and this guy comes over, and at the time I was kind of conceited, you know, like, man, who's this guy? You know, okay, anyway. So this guy comes over, and every time he wants to scratch, and I'm like, oh, all right, go ahead, scratch. And then every time I would turn my back, he would do this scratch. This is called the original flare. That's what I call it. Because back then I thought he was transforming, and back then we were trying to like transform really fast, and we thought we were the fastest, but we'd really like, you know, transforming is really hard because you got to keep going. It was like, but he was just kicking back. And I was like, what? What the hell is that scratch? And I was like, so anyway. Okay, so DJ Disc was my partner around the time. He lived like right next door, and I called him. I said, hey, Disc, come over. You know, check out this guy. This crazy big ass white dude. And that's it. He came over, and so Disc. So Disc came up. He saw it, and he came up with the 2-click orbit. So it's like 2 click flares, 2 clicks forward, 2 clicks reverse. He calls it an orbit. So this is what the orbit sound like. Then D-Styles comes over and sees the scratch too. And he goes back, he lives far, he lives all the way in the East Bay. He drives all the way like 40 minutes. And he goes back home and he comes back, well, not 40 minutes, but he comes back maybe a couple months later and he comes up with the 1-click flare. Yeah. So then Flair sees all this and he's like, hey, you've got to take my scratches. So he comes up with a 3-click flare. Do your variation of that 3-click. We still don't get that scratch. So 93 comes along, and D-Styles introduces a combo, which is a chirp to a flare combo. Yeah. So around 94, mixers change as well, and that's when I made Invasion of the Octopus People. It was like, I don't know if you noticed, but on that song, I was using like the clicker. This is called the clicker, the little switch here. Anyway, yeah, that's the clicker. So mixers we started getting the DMC mixers in with the strong cutoff, the little cutoff, and we started using those at that time. Okay, anyway. So 95 comes along, and the crabs come in. Why don't you do some crabs? All right. 96 comes along, and combos with crabs and flares. Okay, combos with crabs, flares, chirps, and transforms then. Yeah, scramble it up right now. So 97 comes along, and that's when we make turntable TV, and we get to showcase a lot of like techniques for a long period of time. Like, that's the older turntable TVs. Now it's a lot of bullshit. But anyway, 97 was a style where we did I did a lot of fades at that time. And yeah, that was, I guess back then that's what I was doing. In 98, more internet DJs can hear each other. Scratch perverts.
are using multiple fingers, and some album called Wave Troopers is coming out. In 1999, the turntable outsells the electric guitar in Japan. Scratch DJing becomes a big thing, and so now 2000. Let's end it off with a recap of all the scratches since the mid-70s. To a beat, yeah, you can play a beat. Okay. All right, give it up for DJ Flair.
Give it up for DJ Flair. All right, we're going to start with some two-hand exercises here. First, we're going to start off with a zigzag. All Q's doing is doing 2 forward sounds and 1 reverse sound. I see some zigzag fades, Q.
I just did that already.
The next technique is called a snake. Actually, all you're doing is making a side-winding motion with your hands, sounding a little bit like tears. So this is called a snake. All right, the next technique is called lasers. Actually, just making laser sound effects using 1 finger or 2 fingers. It's called lasers. Phasers is kind of like lasers. At the same time, while holding the record with one of your hands, you're making laser sounds, but it's actually stopping it instantaneously. These are called phasers. Next one is kind of like that, doing rubs. It's called hydroplanes. Just moving the opposite direction at each time, doing rubs. And of course, the last technique for two-hand that we have to show tonight is called swipes. Actually, what you're doing here is actually making a one-click flare without having to use the fader. These are called swipes. Give it up for DJ Q-BERT.
Yo, 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 yo.